We live in dynamic times, don't we? And we're always cautioned that AI or the internet or whatever it is going to take away our imagination, the power to be imaginative. When I look at children running and playing as they did the other day in a park, I'm not so sure. I guess the risk is that probably we are naturally imaginative, for sure. But once we do get into an educational environment, there is the risk that can be diminished, that can be, I wouldn't like to say killed, but it can certainly be damaged. An experience I have a class of girls at a particular school, and we do 2 field trips a semester. And these are bright kids, right, from good families. And so on the first trip, we normally go and we view the architecture in the area, the natural environment, but the focus is basically on architecture and, of course, the plants and the bees and the bugs that are associated with the buildings, because all buildings have to be somewhat natural, don't they? They have to be nestled into nature, otherwise we don't respond to them, and over time they disappear. And these young ladies have truly never been exposed to nature, to buildings in quite this way. So we discuss the columns. A lot of these buildings are Japanese Baroque, as it's called. They have a lot of Baroque features. Some columns are thrown in as well. It's got an interesting style from the early Meiji period in the early part of the 20th century. And they're very statuesque and very beautiful. So we do that, then we walk along. And the powers of observation, leading, of course, to imagination, are somewhat lacking, but we stimulate them. And when I read the reports, I'm greatly encouraged that imagination for sure is not dead. It just has to be stimulated. And on our second field trip, we go along totally in nature. We go along a trestle, and there is nothing there but old railway tracks and a place to sit down, and you can sketch, and you can hear the water and hear the birds twittering away, and you pass other artists perhaps that are sitting there, and they're sitting there sketching away, and the young ladies were really intrigued, truly. And then, of course, we walk back to school. But how do I stimulate my imagination? How do I encourage it, right? What am I to do? Well, I think the one way you do, for sure, is that you forget the comments of other people. Just go with the flow at that moment, right? Get right into it. Many people say as well that we should try to read as much as absolutely possible. That's why I go to a gym, so I can listen to audiobooks and read in a wide range of people. Really, the man I really enjoyed in the last year of reading has been Carl Jung. I've read about 3 of his books. He's just a very insightful human being. But all the great scholars, all the great intellectuals are really running in front of you imaginatively, aren't they? They really are. They're just out there all the way. And of course, once again, when you have a great idea, write it down. Open your notebook, which you should have with you, because you're documenting the day and the day, making this day special, of course. Write down that great idea. Don't let it escape, because it will run away. Ideas seemingly are like stars. They flicker, right? And then they disappear. And then, if you want to close your eyes for a bit, it's wonderful to listen to Rumi, because his love writings, his love poetry really pulls us into a wonderful world. Let's see if we can find a love poem by Rumi. Okay, here we are. The stunning love poem, Like This, by Rumi. If anyone asks you how the perfect satisfaction of all our physical wanting will look like, lift your face and say, like this. When someone mentions the gracefulness of the night sky, climb up on the roof and dance and say, like this. If anyone wants to know what spirit is or what God's fragrance means, lean your head toward him or her, keep your face very close, and say like this. If anyone wonders how Jesus raised the dead, don't try to explain the miracle. Kiss me on the lips like this, like this. When someone asks what it means to die for love, point here. If someone asks how tall I am, frown and measure with your fingers the space between the creases on your forehead. This tall, like this. The soul sometimes leaves the body, then returns. When someone doesn't believe that, walk back into my house, like this. When lovers moan, they're telling our story like this. I am a sky where the spirits live. Stare into this deepening blue while the breeze says a secret like this. When someone asks what there is to do, light the candle in his hand like this. How did Joseph's scent come to Jacob? Like this. How did Jacob's sight return? Like this. Like this. When Shams comes back to Tabriz, he'll put us right. He'll put just his head around the edge of the door and he'll surprise us like this. Like this. So, imagination. Like this from Rumi. Wonderful. So, you know what they say. You know what they say. Critical thinking is everything, especially if you want to find your imaginative edge, your imaginative being. Don't lose that, for sure. And critical thinking is great. God bless. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. This is Dave, and today is July 5th. This is the 14th day of our El Camino journey. The weather has been hot, getting hotter. We would like to mention Emily, Molly, and Salome from TCGS. Now, our journey started today from the large city of Burgos, and we moved to Orneos, is where we ended up. Orneos was famous back in antiquity. The Romans were here as well as the Visigoths. So, on this theme of imagination, several years back, I was working as a kindergarten teacher, and sometimes I would ask my students to draw pictures based on different themes. And the children would be drawing a picture of a landscape, for example. Maybe they would draw some trees, the sky, the sun, some birds, and the grass. And then my students would ask me, they would say, "Teacher, may I color the sky red?" And I would say, "Of course you can. Why can't you?" And another student would say, "Well, how about the leaves? Can I color the leaves yellow?" And my answer would be, "Of course you can. You can color the leaves yellow." But my students, they were being told by their other teacher, color the leaves green, color the sky blue, color the birds black, color the grass green. And after being taught this for years after year after year, if I encountered the same children a few years later and I did the same activity, they would draw the sky blue and the grass green without even thinking twice. Why? Well, it's something that a lot of us struggle with as we get older and older and older, and that is imagination. Today, Leon and I, we started walking through the desert in Spain, and the fields, they just extend to the horizon. There's nothing but cereal fields and crops and weeds, and we can see for kilometers in front of us. This is a good place for us to reflect and to get creative. For myself, now I'm a software designer and I design and develop video games. So I often use this time, my downtime, to think through ideas to create fantastical worlds, which I can then transform into the game which people can then play. And I think for a lot of us during our everyday lives, we struggle with this, that we have trouble taking some downtime to move away from the reality and to get creative, to imagine, and to embrace our creative side.
So David has raised a really important point, hasn't he? Sir Ken Robinson, for instance, he says that schools actually kill imagination, but imagination is our most important tool. So on the El Camino, for instance, there are very, very long periods. Even if you've gone with a partner, like a walking partner, like I have done, there are times that you have to be silent. Either the path is too narrow or the day is just too long and you want to be alone. And it is in those moments that the mind flashes. You have those brilliant thoughts, those creative ideas. Now, why do I go to school? I went to school for a very a long time ago. And in theory, you went to school to learn how to learn, not to get a degree or degrees, not to spend all this tremendous period of time basically finding some focus, be it may a job, etc., etc. You went there to be responsible for the modern world, the changes that you will experience in the modern world. So, imagination. So, I'm not very imaginative. What can I do? Is usually the question. You must get your notebook out, write the day and the date, and promise yourself that you will show no one what comes out of your creative mind, and then just start every day, the day and the date, and you will find over a period of time, if you do it every single day, certainly for 3 weeks, it will become a part of your morning routine. Rote. You can't escape it. And soon the ideas will flow. The creative ideas will flow. Who am I will flow. It'll flow out of you because everything is inside you. Believe it or not, as they say. Right? Everything is already in me, but I must bring these creative ideas out into the world. So, walking today, we had ample time because for the next week, we're going to be in this quasi desert in northern Spain along the El Camino. So, back to Dave just for a moment.
Yes. And when you are writing in your notebook, I recommend that you don't think about it too much. Sometimes a great way for developing your creative mind is to just sketch pictures or to start out with one or two words and then kind of expand it from there. When you see this word blue, what do you think of? Car. Okay, and then when you think of car, what do you think of? Four wheels, and just go from there. It's a great way to expand your creativity, and who knows, you might just come up with something amazing.
It's to be remembered that in society today, maybe 10% of the population not that clever. 5% are truly brilliant. The rest are just like me and you. Me and you. We can go up and down in that arc through our own efforts, And Aristotle, as I often like to talk about Aristotle, but Aristotle tells us that we can all be happy. We have the potential, but it is a process. And to nurture my imagination, obviously, is a process. But I just must begin one day at a time, as the example of my notebook has shown us. So you take care. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.